All right, welcome everyone to our weekly press briefing with the Executive Branch. I am joined here via Zoom with Jason Salzman, the Muskogee Creek Nation Press Secretary. Thank you for joining us, Jason.
Thank you, Angel, for
Um,
having me. Always love to join you guys every week.
yes, great. We have some updates. I gotta mute myself here so I don't have to listen to myself while I'm trying to talk. We have some updates. We've kind of updated our little system. It got us back to where we can. Jared's been working really hard on that, getting us back to where we can run our live stream, and it kind of has given us a little bit of a new format where we can actually take questions before going live. So those who are following our page, if you set up your reminders and you're following along with us on YouTube, you can subscribe to our channel, and that'll give you access to our chat, and you can drop us a line and you can have us ask questions for you on your behalf. And you can always ask questions during the stream as well. I don't believe Gary's joining us today, but everything looks like it's up and running good. So thank you, Jason. Can you kind of give us a highlight of the last week since we saw you last?
Yes, Angel, thank you for the time as always. Again, want to thank everybody out there also for joining that watches along and takes part in tribal government and has a vested interest in what's going on. We all should, and I think that this is a great opportunity to discuss what we're dealing with, and everybody else to jump in a live format, ask questions, and have a good conversation about things that we deeply care about, which is the Muskogee Creek Nation and getting services to our people, getting access to those services to our people, making sure that everybody's taken good care of in the health care department. Our children are taken care of in our Head Start and our child care development centers, and our food services are up and running good. Our educational grants are going out. Everything that goes into a working tribal government is happening, and I'm so pleased to be able to say that that has not stopped in the midst of the greatest pandemic that we've seen in our modern history of this tribe. We may have shut down buildings, we may have sent workers home, but as I said, there's still educational grants going out. There's still things that are being taken care of. There's still programs that are running with minor glitches and hitches and everything like that. So, as a tribal government, I will just say that I want to take the first part of this to say we're so pleased to be able to say that we're functioning and doing really well in spite of some great challenges. And as I said, this would be hard for any administration to deal with, no matter how seasoned they were. This is hard for Governor Anatobi and his team at Chickasaw Nation, and they've been in office for years and years and years. So for a new incoming chief and second chief hitting the ground running with this, it's been really inspiring to see, and it's been great to be able to kind of work under and see kind of the daily operations that have kind of had to piecemeal everything, if you will. We've never really had to send a massive employees home for weeks at a time. We've never had to see what that does to our operations. We're finding out now, and there have been some hiccups, but I believe that the administration feels that they're the better for it. They're seeing places where we were vulnerable. They're seeing practices that we've done for years and years that maybe we could do a little better. They're seeing things that maybe we have meetings, things like that. Maybe this changes going forward for all time's sake, that we can do things through Zoom and through technology that we never tried before, never thought to try before, that just would be a better way to function in our world now. And we look at it, and I reject to say the phrase "new normal" because I do think we can get back to the way things we've done things, but I honestly don't see it as a wasted crisis either, because we can certainly do things a lot better, and we're the chief and the second chief have been able to look at our practices and see a lot of places for improvement. So really, I know you asked about what's been going on last week. Um, I just wanted to say that first, but really, our latest push has been getting employees back to work. Getting back to tribal business with our employees here, and we're looking at some good information to be able to share. We're probably going to have a big release for everyone tomorrow. I would say tomorrow sometime, about more of the process of that and what's went into that and bringing folks back. As you've already seen in the news, River Spirit going to be back up and running, as well as our other gaming sites on June 1st, with a lot of preparation that went into that. There's a great document. Take a look at that as far as what they've done in the hospitality industry. A lot of other tribes have done some great things as well. So I know, Angel, I know how you are. It's a researcher's dream to get into a document like that and sort of tear it up and have a good time looking at it and seeing all that's been done. Because as you know, and as Jared knows, and anybody that writes for the paper, you get something and you take a document and you basically look for everything that's got how many bases have they covered, and as a reporter, something like that, you go, how many bases did they not cover that we can ask a question about? So it's a great resource you can look at, and also just all the things that we've done with our Department of Health, daily briefings with the Department of Health chief and second chief, making tough decisions, but doing so while leaning on the expertise of others, and trusting in your tribal leaders in different areas and different aspects. Certainly, the National Council, a big part of that, and all the, in all the meetings, bringing them in for cabinet meetings and everything like that, just to know, just so they have a key into the process, which had really been done before a lot around here. So we're really proud of that as well, getting all that feedback. And yeah, it's been really it's been an all hands on deck this last week, sort of getting ready to get our employees back. And we're kind of targeting that June 1st. It's kind of our tentative target there, and it's coming up. So we're excited to get some information about that out this week, and probably tomorrow for sure.
And when you were mentioning the document, I did have that sent over to me, and it's about 9 pages long, basically, of the preparations and the things and changes that they're making in order to open up the casinos and have that done and keep everyone, within the COVID guidelines and things like that. There's going to be temperature screening, social distancing, hand sanitizer, just to name a few of the things. And I've been kind of going through the document and putting together just kind of a guide to let people know what to expect as they're coming back to their spots of recreation and spending time, in those facilities. And so we're kind of putting that together as we're going through the week, getting ready to send out the June 1 paper here. So that's going to be the graduate edition. So all of the folks who are looking,
all right.
Yes,
one of my favorite papers of the entire year.
Yes, it's always been one of my favorites. It's my first one to build on my own, and so I'm not as excited right now today as I was when I first started, because we had the biggest edition we've ever had. It's 150 graduates that were submitted, and I fixed those pictures, and so I was like, oh, look at their face, and then somewhere around 150, I was like, oh man, they just keep coming. But it's a really, really great edition. I always look forward to it because basically you're seeing the next generation coming out of school and setting their sights on what they're going to be doing. And as always, our graduate edition doesn't just encompass high school seniors. We're seeing the graduate profiles of Muskogee Creek citizens who are graduating from college and seeing the exciting things and plans that they have in store for them. So that's coming out June 1. Look for that. On the topic of returning to work, we've been kind of filtering through some instructions on what we can expect as we come back. And as I understand it, I don't know if you're ready to mention yet, but I believe that it's still going to be, the buildings are still kind of closed to the public for at least a few more weeks after employees return.
Yeah, absolutely. This does not mean a reopening. I want to stress that. I think you look at, this is just a bringing employees back to work that have been placed on administrative leave or been working from home, things like that, and that aren't necessarily at the greatest of risk and what have you, kind of how we phased out. This is just sort of the beginning of the phase in. So yeah, we're not opening lobbies to the public, nothing like that. This is still, like I said, we'll have a little bit more information, as I mentioned, tomorrow on this, but this isn't a reopening. I think I can't stress that enough, just because we still are taking precaution, everything like that. And the reason that it's not a reopening, Angel, is because there are some things that we have done. We have taken architecture specialists around while people have been gone, looking at our points of entry, developing places that would be the greatest spot to have screenings or sanitation stations, things like that. things making it so that we're not just saying, hey, it's a free for all, come on back to work, everyone. No, we're doing our homework, we're doing our diligence to make sure that we keep our employees safe, and mainly feeling comfortable that they can come back, do their jobs, get back into a routine of coming to the workplace, and will do so without having to feel that they're being put at risk, or that their tribe and their complex isn't taking care of them. We're doing the exact opposite. We're going 150 miles an hour trying to find out each and everything we can to make sure that this is a perfectly safe spot to come back to work. So they're going to be doing all kinds of things like that. That was just sort of an example of one of the ways that we've kind of looked, and entry points and high, high traffic points, even for our employees, not necessarily the public.
Has there been any talk yet about something along the lines of community centers and things like that? That's a question I've been hearing a lot from folks who are out in different areas of the nation, and they are wondering if their community centers are prepping, or if that will be something that will be maybe in the next phase of reopening. Could you kind of give
Yeah,
us any insight on that?
I think for the time being, that's going to be a next phase type of thing. Certainly because our community centers wouldn't exist if they weren't gathering places for people.
Mhm.
So they're places of, the community center isn't really one or two people, in each corner of the community. And that's what we love about them. We love being able to gather and have people, but we're just not there yet as far as where the numbers are, and to a safe spot to where we can really say for sure one way or another. So for right now, that will be a continuation of the phase in. And we'll have more information on our communities and protocol and everything like that in the coming days.
Okay. I wonder if as we're pulling the employees back in and making these adjustments, is that going to include like South Regional offices as well?
Yeah, I mean that's employees, that were basically sent out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So if you were sent out and you came into work one day and it was, hey, we're going on administrative leave, or you're working from home for now to do what you
Mhm.
can, everything like that. You're going to be coming back. So
Okay.
no matter where that is, tribal employee, different departments, different places. If you were one of those, like I said, that came in and it was administrative leave, and we're getting you home, getting you to safety. I think it's the appropriate time we start talking about getting them back here pretty soon. So
Okay. My next question is about our cyber incident, and I was wondering if there's been any updates on that report that we're expecting anytime
yes,
soon.
yes, thank you. The cyber security incident. We are still waiting for the conclusion of the forensics investigation, but did hear earlier that that's very close to being done. So we will have the mainly the ability to be able to speak more freely about everything, and talk about the incident, and some more of the specifics. I know a lot of people have questions, things like that. Really just hoping that everybody can understand, in an investigation, especially dealing with the FBI, things like that, it's just not appropriate to talk about any specifics or anything like that, especially when you don't even know what the forensics are saying. So for right now, still waiting on that report and as the investigation to be wrapped up, and then we'd love to talk more about it.
Okay, perfect. Any word on, has there been any progress made on CARES Act funding and those decision-making processes? I know that the last
Yeah.
time we spoke to you, there was a board being put together working with Secretary of Nation Commerce, Tara Branson,
Yeah.
and there was going to be kind of a review board kind of to decide how that's going to be implemented. Have you got any news to share with us on that?
Yeah, and I think that was something that we really looked forward to putting out, and we're glad to put out because you're talking about the assistant secretary, the acting secretary, I'm sorry, of the Nation of Commerce, Tara Branson. This is somebody with DC experience and experience with federal funding programs, grant programs, what to do, what not to do, everything like that. So when you have someone like that heading up the committee of several different people, as she mentioned, we wanted to make sure that the council was on there. So we did have that citizen representation. So
Mhm.
citizens, if you're wanting, your input about how the CARES Act funds should be spent, be telling your council members. That's what the council members are for. They are your representation to be able to be, like I said, on that committee. So get with your council members. Definitely make sure how you want them to be spent. I know there's a lot of different opinions out there on how the CARES Act funding should be distributed. I think it's important to note, though, if you go back and watch the video, um, the only thing that Tara said was that the committee has been formed. This is who is on the committee, and these are the things we're considering. I don't think anything, and I know for sure. I put the video together and everything, but there was nothing in the video that said, we're not doing this. We are doing this. There's absolutely nothing in there that says that anything's cut off or not being considered. In fact, we're saying the exact opposite. Everything is being considered by the chief and the principal chief, the principal chief and the second chief, and as well as the committee that includes council members, that includes, like I said, commerce professionals, it includes grant professionals, people that know exactly the kind of situations you can get into if this isn't done properly and if this distribution is done wrong. Now, another thing, I know a lot of people point to, this is what other tribes are doing, this is what other tribes are doing, but you have to understand that different tribes have different scenarios going on, and they're different sizes and everything like that. You look at the Cherokee Nation, the Choctaws, the Creek Nation, people look at these tribes with a very fine tooth, I mean, they go through them with a very fine tooth comb, and they're watching specifically to see how these tribes react with this funding and how appropriately they distribute it. So not that there's an amount of pressure, but being a larger tribe, there comes a little bit more responsibility with how we distribute this, and we certainly don't want this to be a situation where we don't do anything how we're not supposed to do it. So we're just vetting everything. We're vetting emergency disbursement. We're vetting, can we do a relief fund or a relief assistance check, anything like that. We're vetting it all. So those are things that they're just looking at right now and saying, can we do these things? Certainly, I saw a question that had come in about the CARES Act, talking about educational programs, JOM and Title VI and everything like that, or I think it's at the COBRA payments for unemployed citizens. Yes, the answer to the question is all of those things are being looked at and considered, and that's a reason why when you see the number goes out, right, and automatically people go, oh well, I'm gonna I'll take the number and I'll kind of divide up how many citizens I think we have. But you're not taking into account that some of that number has to go to programs. It has to go to JOM, to emergency assistance funds, payment programs that can be for years down the road. This is something that could change and help the tribe for years down the road. And let's not forget that we may see a bounce back of this virus. We have to be able to be putting things in areas where, look, here is some money to put back for if we're hit with COVID again, and there may not be the same amount of funds that are there in the future, and we need to be prepared to be able to have some funding. These are things that I'm just spitballing. I'm not part of the committee, but I just think that you look at it and what Tara said, versus maybe some reaction you get just doesn't line up. The committee's looking at everything, mainly the programs and the people, and how we can help the people. This is a people issue. It's not a tribal complex issue, anything like that. It is a people issue, and we're looking to help the people as most as we can with that CARES Act funding. So yeah, that's a breakdown of where we're at there with it, and the committee's doing a fantastic job. And like I said, right now it's in that vetting process, and I promise you, your nation is in good hands as far as people that aren't going to put us behind the 8 ball down the road, but they're also not going to turn a blind eye or shut their ears off to exactly what the people are telling them, and the people are heard in this administration.
So the folks who are on like maybe social media and they have some pretty passionate ideas about what they feel is proper and right, you would probably direct them to their council members who are sitting on this committee, because nothing at this point has been.
Right. Well, I think that's the way that tribal government works. I think the council is isn't just there to pass legislation and everything like that. And there's a reason that they put their contact information up on their website. It's just those people that can call them and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking. And reach out and take an active part in the government process. And that's how they do it. And that's exactly why the council is on the committee, is to have a lifeline to the people and their ideas and their input.
Okay. And finally, I think one of my questions here is, have we heard anything on festival? It's a popular topic right now in the last week or so. I
Just
know.
the same as that the festival is postponed. We do not want to cancel the festival. That's the last thing we want to do, folks. I promise you that. If we have to have it a little bit looking a little bit different this year than it does every year, unfortunately, we would have to do that. But we do not want to cancel. Right now, it is still postponed, and we're working hard to, you know, it's hard to say that we're looking at anything in the future because you just can't. I mean, there's no way to predict this thing. The in the words of Dr. Fauci, again, I know some people like him, some people don't, but Dr. Fauci said that the virus makes the timeline. We do not make the timeline, and I think whether you like the guy or not, that's a great quote because really that's kind of what we're going off of. We're going off of what this virus is going to do and how we kind of adjust and react to it, and that's kind of where we're at. But on the festival, yeah, for now we are postponed and hoping for the best as far as something maybe in the fall.
I'm gonna take a quick moment to jump in and introduce. Oh, I was just getting ready to introduce you, Gary. Gary kind of snuck in on us, and I was going to see if you had some questions for Jason.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you've covered so far. I assume it's COVID, but finishing up the paper there, so you should be getting some edits soon. Okay. In the discussions I've heard about the festival, a lot of it, of course, is related to the types of entertainment that you get in, your larger names. Yeah. In lieu of perhaps scheduling someone like that, what about a possibility of filling in with more Native American talent that isn't quite the headliners, but would and do a great job anyway? I mean, you've had
that's been something we've discussed. That's been something we've discussed as far as scaling down the entertainment. Maybe not, like you said, a household name, but certainly household names amongst natives, and bringing in some of our local and homegrown talent and our tribal citizens, or any tribal citizen really coming to entertain us. That's certainly something that we've discussed because that's a big part of the annual festival budget, no doubt.
One area that's related to that I've always been interested in is the growth of natives in the world of the comedian, stand-up comics.
Yeah.
Where there are a number of men who do it. But recently, and within the last couple of years, there have been some Indian women who came in and delivered some devastating shows, like at the health conference. Now, those are really strong possibilities, and I personally would love to see that kind of element added. Is there that kind of possibility?
Oh, absolutely. I think that you are seeing a greater focus and I think nationally at our conferences, things like that. You've seen recently a greater number of those type of acts, and I think it's fun. For sure, I think we would all agree that Native humor is different than any other kind. It's very unique to us. We are the ones that if a Native comedian is coming in saying things to a group of natives, they'd be falling over, dying laughing. And the next room, a bunch of non-natives probably wouldn't find it funny whatsoever, and vice versa. I think it's a cultural thing, and I think it's things that you find a comedy voice by being amongst people for years and years and years and seeing, these a living culture. And I'm not just talking about making a basket or making a bow, but I'm talking about how grandma talks to grandpa, or how grandma gets on to the little ones, or something like that, or how the sister-in-law may talk about the brother-in-law, anything like that. Our families and the way that we interact with one another and the way that we speak with one another and the things that we find funny are very unique to us. So I think that would be an excellent way to fill that entertainment gap if we need to, not just in this festival or any, I guess you could say, COVID festival, but all the festivals going forward. I think there's a lot of comics out there, and I'd love to see, like as you said, Native women getting more into the comedy. Oh my gosh, I could imagine, because some of the funniest people of my life growing up, Native women. I think one of my first jobs was at Eufaula Indian Health Clinic, and I would just go in the break room with a bunch of Creek ladies, and I mean gut busting, literally just side splitting laughter all day long, and that's the kind of stuff that makes it special, and kind of makes you feel like you're a part of something special, and it's part of the culture. Absolutely, the humor is. So
Well,
yeah, Gary, that's a great point.
I hope it takes place, because there are so many things that, as you pointed out, are funny to our people that other folks may not get.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
could say fry bread to you, and all of a sudden there's a smile on your face, and other Indians would love to hear that sort of thing.
Yes.
Another question, perhaps you all might have hit on it already, is now that the tribe is scaling back to work, are there agenda items sort of piled up that you will be addressing? Are there priorities there that we will see being worked on immediately?
Yeah, sure, Gary, and I did touch on that earlier. But we will have pretty a release tomorrow and the rest of the week, kind of detailing some of that and what's went into it and everything like that. So yeah, definitely glad to be able to share that information.
Great, thank you.
You got it.
Well, I'm looking forward
Angel,
to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Angel. If I could have a chance to kind of just go down our live stream and answer some of these questions from a citizen.
Oh, definitely.
Because in a recent Tulsa World article, a police officer was quoted that the DC symbol from the Tulsa flag is a great embodiment of the Native American spirit. Does the MCN agree or deem that to be accurate? Well, to answer that question, I wouldn't really want to comment on that specific officer's interpretation of the Tulsa flag. I will say this, though. I think in order for somebody to say that something is a great embodiment of the Native American spirit, I feel that they either need to be Native American or somebody that has been around Native American culture for most of their lives, something like that. And I'm not saying that that officer hasn't, and that's why I don't really want to comment on his personal, belief that that's what it embodies. So I couldn't say one way or another. It's just you like to see folks that have an understanding of Native American spirit to talk about its embodiment. I'll just say that. But thank you for the question. Also, Tesla is reportedly looking at locations inside MCN boundaries to establish a manufacturing plant. Has Tesla reached out to MCN about this, or vice versa? Well, Tesla, we've seen that in the news and everything like that, and certainly respect having a big business interest, and lots of our citizens also in Tulsa, as well as some of our program headquarters and everything like that. And so we feel like what would be good for Tulsa is good for Muskogee Creek Nation. And if people feel like Tesla is a good thing in Tulsa, we're definitely down with that. Tesla has reached out to Tulsa, and Tulsa in turn has reached out to some of the tribes that make up the Tulsa business community, and to just sort of give some facts about what we provide as far as our revenue, things like that we bring to the city of Tulsa with our entertainment facilities and everything like that. So there has been a discussion there, but nothing specific with MCN and Tesla. I'll just say that anything good for Tulsa, we feel is good for Muskogee Creek Nation. So thank you for that question as well. You have a question about your tag. Your tag is up soon, and I get that. A lot of people out there, we've got a different sort of process in our tag office right now. They're just taking what they're doing is they're taking phone calls or emails to set up a scheduled visit to come in and get your things fixed up. So they're doing that by phone. You can call 918-756-6374, or you can email CN, as in Creek Nation, tags at SBC, as in Southwestern Bell Company, sbcglobal.net. So if you'll call, let them know what you need to do. They'll set you up with a scheduled time. You can go in there and take care of it just like normal. I think we kind of went over some of the CARES Act funding questions that were asked there, and so we're just looking at going through only. Okay, I think okay. I think now we've got more comments rather than questions. So I think that covers most of the questions. So thank you for always taking the time to be on the stream with us. We appreciate the interaction with our citizens, especially in a live format. Hey, ask me anything. I'll do my best to answer it. I promise.
And of course, you've been requested to play at festival, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Get J Saul's band to play. That's
Hey, we love the opportunity, man. We love the opportunity. Appreciate that.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's about all the questions I have for this round. I'm just looking forward to getting back to work. I think there's going to be a little bit of a transition as we all kind of learn how to re-navigate the office space without the chilling around the water cooler. But my family is, for one, really going to be glad when I don't take up an hour of their time with telling everyone to mute the television,
Sorry,
don't speak,
guys.
and tiptoe around.
Sorry, everyone.
But thank you so much for taking the time. And we're going to be here every week, even probably as we continue to go back to the office. I don't see any reason why we would change this setup right now. Having our weekly press meetings. And as Jared kind of put the work in, you can also subscribe to our channel and drop comments throughout the week. If you think of something and you just want us to ask, we have access to those and we can kind of tally up the questions as we go along. You don't necessarily have to be live to ask them. And thank you, Gary, for coming in and asking great questions and giving great insights. And I think we're going to sign off for today.
Thank you both. I appreciate you all and doing a great job. And like I said, this is an opportunity for the administration to be able to, let everybody know and take questions. So we really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And Mado for everyone who's watching. Thanks.